Hello and welcome, this is Noah with Nomad Gaming, and thank you for joining us for this video about the Marvel Champions LCG. Marvel Champions, of course, is a living card game produced and distributed by Fantasy Flight Games. If you're looking for a place to see more Marvel Champions strategy, deck building, and gameplay, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications to keep up to date with the channel. Today, we are going to be going through our latest expansion pack again, and this time we are building around the Justice aspect. Let's jump in and take a look at how this is going to work and what our core strategies are going to be for this deck. Of course, we have our basic identity card. This has two sides to it. An alter ego, Stephen Strange, with 3 recover. He has the static ability where we start the game with an Invocation Deck, which is going to be pivotal to our Justice strategy today. And then he has the ability Natural Talent, which is an action, discard the top card of the Invocation Deck, limit once per phase. And then we also have Doctor Strange, our hero side, which we can flip over to. He has 2 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. He's an Avenger Mystic with the ability Spell Mastery. It's an action which exhausts Doctor Strange to play the top card of the Invocation Deck, resolve the special ability on that card. So let's take a quick look at our Invocation Deck and talk about how this is going to be core to what we want to do today. Obviously, there are 5 cards here in our Invocation Deck, each one appearing 1 time in the deck. And as you cycle through this, you can see there's some pretty powerful effects. First off, we've got Crimson Bands of Sidorak. This is dealing direct damage and stunning enemies. We've got Images of Icon for 1 cost. This is confusing the villain and removing threat. We've got 7 Rings of Ragador, which is going to be taking tough status cards and doling them out all across our team. We've got Vapors of Valtor for 0 cost. This is going to let us swap status cards. And then for 0 cost, our final event is Winds of Watum. That lets us draw 3 cards. I want to emphasize here, we're going to try to get a little bit extra allies in the deck so we can take full advantage of Ragador. We are going to rely on this deck and prioritize playing these 5 cards as often as possible. So what's in our aspect is going to be there more of a support role and more of a support option in case what's available to us from the Invocation Deck is not playable or not useful at the current time in the game. But looking to get a lot of activations out of this, keep status effects on the table, deal with what's on the table through our Invocation Deck, and really taking advantage of our signature pool as well. Speaking of our signature pool, here's a quick look at the 15 Doctor Strange cards. First off is Wong. He is our signature ally. He lets us also manipulate the top of the Invocation Deck. He can also heal 1 damage from our identity, so he's going to be useful. We want to get him on the table and probably keep him on the table if possible. Astral Projection, this is a threat removal card. This is a powerful threat removal card. Going to give us a lot of advantages there, so we're going to try to stick to the aspect of, or the side of the Justice aspect rather, that allows us to put some extra damage around because we've got some powerful threat reduction in our signature pool and our Invocation Deck. Magic Blast is an awesome utility damage dealer that can do extra stuff too, stun, confuse, extra damage, all of the above. Master of the Mystic Arts, this lets us play the top card of our Invocation Deck. Again, want to get these going as often as possible. Just keep playing them, make a lot of things happen. Mystical Studies, search your deck or discard pile for a Doctor Strange card. Probably going to be searching for Master of the Mystic Arts a lot, but sometimes we're going to want to look for Wong if he's not on the table, maybe Cloak of Levitation to get our ready and going. Just depends on what part of the game we're at when we get to this guy. Protective Ward, this is a straight treachery cancellation, very useful, want to keep it ready and available in our hand. Sanctum Sanctorum, this is going to let us shuffle spells from our discard pile back into our deck. So we're looking at Magic Blast, Astral Projection, Protective Ward, Magical Enhancements, those cards can go back into the deck. Cloak of Levitation, this is an exhaust to ready Doctor Strange. To take advantage of that, we're going to try to boost our thwart a little bit, but also taking advantage of that by letting us activate twice and casting 2 cards from our Invocation Deck. Magical Enhancements, 1 cost upgrade. This plays under our control, but it goes away at the end of the round. It gives us +1 thwart, attack, and defense. Very useful. Going to use this when its utility is high. Other times we're going to discard it as a resource. Eye of Agamotto is going to give us a hero resource ability to generate wild resources, which is going to help us with resource matching. So we are going to play the resource matching event from Justice, I believe, here in just a second. Let's take a look now at our allies. We are going heavy on allies in this build. We're going to go with all of the allies that we can possibly put in. Well, not really, but we're going to put most of them in. So we're going with Agent Coulson. We are going to play a couple preparation cards, so he's going to let us tutor those out. He's also got 2 thwart, which is high value. Daredevil's 2 thwart, 2 attack. Across the board, just utility, and then when he thwarts, he does deal damage to an enemy. So we're going to get him into play, see what can happen with that. We've got Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for each side scheme in play. If we start to fall behind on side schemes, she comes in very handy. And Quake is going to help us control the board. She's going to want to stay. We're not going to really thwart or attack with her if possible. We're just going to keep her out there and keep exhausting her to deal 2 damage to minions after they scheme. Mockingbird's going to help us get status effects on the table, and then Nick Fury is just Nick Fury. We're playing Nick Fury. If you judge me for playing Nick Fury, then I judge you, but that's fine. We'll keep playing anyway. Jumping into the upgrade slot, this is where we start to kind of hone in on some of the synergies that we're trying to exploit. We're going to play Heroic Intuition to boost our thwart, and that's going to allow us to possibly activate for up to 6 thwart a turn with our hero using Cloak of Levitation. Several other heroes have the ability to do this, and we all know that it's good, so this is just something that's going to be in there. It's going to help us with extra value, but it's not the focus of the deck. We have plenty of ways to manage threat, so don't be afraid to throw this away early in the game. Or if you don't have any of the ways to manage threat, don't be afraid to get this on the table early in the game and take advantage of it. Followed, this is going to give us some extra bonus damage for taking advantage of that high threat efficiency that we have. Get it onto your side schemes as often as possible. Take the damage. Enjoy good things. Under Surveillance, this is just an extra protection if we're having some trouble getting things set up. Get Under Surveillance on the table. Boost that threat value on the main scheme by 4. Counterintelligence here. This is one of the preparations that we're playing, the other being target acquired, which you can also see on screen. Counterintelligence, of course, it says that when any amount of threat would be placed on the main scheme, discard counterintelligence and prevent 3 of that threat. Use it aggressively, use it often, cycle the deck, get it back out. Don't forget Coulson can tutor for it, so you're really almost playing 3 copies of this. And target acquired, we're probably not going to tutor this as often, but if you're playing against the right scenario and you need to cancel some boost abilities, it's great to have on the table. And both of these are max 1 per player, so just remember that, especially with your counterintelligence, because you've only got, you have 2 of them in the deck. You can't get 2 target acquired when you don't have 2 in the deck, but just be careful with that counterintelligence. Don't want to cause a little foul play on your part. Let's check out the events here. We are running Stealth Strike and Haymaker. We did leave out Concussive Blow. I know we mentioned it a minute ago as an option for the resource match, because we do have the ability to generate wild resources, but we've got a lot of ways to manage putting different status cards onto the table, and so I didn't feel like Concussive Blow was adding a lot. However, Stealth Strike, this is 4 damage to an enemy, and if it's defeated, you get to take an incidental threat off as well. I like that a lot. 3 damage for 2 is a little bit better with Haymaker, so we're going to play 2 of those as well, just because the deck does have a little bit of a hole in it trying to deal out the damage, but I like it. These 2 are going to give us the damage that we need to fill in the gaps, and then we're also going to get incidental threat removal. So happy days, good to play. Let's check out our supports. We're only going to play 1 support here. We've got Quinn Carrier. Again, this is a choice that comes down usually to Quinn Carrier or Helicarrier. I went with Quinn Carrier this time. It does generate a resource instead of reducing the cost of the next card that we play, and it requires the Avenger trait. But it does generate wild resources. We're not doing anything to match with them, but I felt like this was the better choice this time. I can see the argument for Helicarrier, and definitely don't absolutely oppose the idea of playing Helicarrier, but I like this one for this deck, and we're playing Quinn Carrier here. 1 copy. Standard suite of resources. We got the Power of Justice, 2 copies of it. Then we've got Energy, Genius, and Strength. No reason to argue with a recipe that works. Nothing bad can happen from any of these resource types, so we get all 5 of these into the deck. And that's going to conclude what we're playing with today. If you guys have built your own Justice Doctor Strange decks, drop a comment below. Tell us what you're building and how, and tell us what kind of fun you're having when you're playing the game with this aspect pairing. If you've made it this far, do us a favor, leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. It helps us build the channel, helps us get in front of more eyes, and helps us to bring more people into the community. So we're thankful that you've been able to join us today. And until next time, let's go game.